Hello everybody, my name is Khaled Siddiqui, and in this video I'm going to teach you how to replace the battery and the touchscreen in a Garmin Nuvi 650, 660, 670, 680 and so on. So this is how it looks like. It's a flip up antenna on the back. So yeah, let's see how we do it. So first, as you can see, the touchscreen doesn't work, so it needs to be replaced. And this is how we do it. We unplug it, obviously.
Battery power low.
And the battery is bad too. So we're going to be hitting two birds with the same stone by taking this apart, replacing the touchscreen and the battery. Now we don't necessarily have to replace the LCD screen, which works fine. Just the touchscreen, which is the front glass, is defective. Okay, in order to open this, we have to open the antenna assembly to remove it in order to reveal the two screws that are underneath it that will take apart the case. So we have to first open this screen assembly. For removal of the screen assembly, let's see what size screwdriver we need. We need T5 screwdriver. T5. Let's open this. So the two screws, these two screws that we took out, these two screws are very short, so you must make sure not to mix them up with the screws that come out later, which are much bigger. You don't necessarily have to take this entirely apart. All you have to do is widen it a little bit, and you will see a little slot on this side, I believe. Let me see. Okay, the slot is on this side, and you slide the pin out right here. So you enter this and then slide it this way. Okay, watch. And now I'm going to, when you enter it and slide it, this goes in and allows it to release itself like that. And when you push it in, you are actually pushing like this. Look at the mechanism. You're pushing it like this. Okay, so this is the spring. One of the most common mistakes is that once you slide this out, when you open this, this jumps out and you lose it. So be very careful when you open it. When you open like this, let me show you. After you slide it, when you open it, watch, look at my hand. Did you see that? See how it jumps out? That's why you have to do it very carefully so you don't lose this. Okay? Once you remove this, you can put this back together. You don't need this to remain open, but be very careful and gentle because you have a very fine, fragile cable attached to it. So put it back together, but do not take it far away from the GPS main assembly because you don't want to lose it. Okay, now take a tape. Let me take a piece of tape. And bend this sideways, but tape it here so it doesn't put stress on that cable. Now open these two screws. Okay, open these two screws. These screws, you must apply a lot of pressure downwards when you open them so you don't strip the head of the screw, because these screws are very, very fragile and they usually get stripped on the top right here. They get stripped on the top. So you have to be very careful. And also you have to use the exact size screwdriver. If you use cheap screwdrivers or wrong size, then you will strip the screws. Again, it's a T5. You have to use a T5 tip. Once these are removed, you can put this back here and fold the tape so it's easy for removal, and put it on this side. Now this is not going anywhere. Okay, now it's time to take the shell apart. The shell is simply attached, snapped. It's simply snapped. Your fingernails are probably the best tools you have, but you could use like a guitar pick or some other prying device to open this. Be careful not to open it suddenly because you will break the delicate cable. See how delicate the cable is. 3 cables are attached. Watch. 1, 2, 3. All these cables are attached very delicately. So you need to, let's see. It is very important to carefully unlock each cable and not to push it out by force. Okay? Not to pull it out by force. And right now I'm going to show you how to unlock each one. As you can see, each cable has its own little locking mechanism. This is for the touchscreen, this is for the video, this is for the backlight. We have 3 different functionalities. If you unplug this, you will have a dark screen. If you unplug this, you will have a bright screen but no image. If you unplug this, you will have a bright screen with image but no touchscreen functionality. So each animal is different. You need to know which is which. To release the backlight, the black tab opens upwards. So it is in this position. It's in this position, let's say. You open it like this. Basically, if it's like this, you open it like this. Let me do it here. Like this, you open it like this. Watch. You saw that, how it opened? And you simply pull this out with gentle force, not too much force. Slight and gentle force. Now we have the second one. The second one, this one, opens this way. So basically, it is in this position, you open it this way. Remember, this one was in this position, and you opened it this way. This is the opposite. It's in this position, and you open it this way. Now, you unplug that. We have the last one. Last one is the same as the second one. And there you go. All 3 cables are disengaged. Now, if your touchscreen is good, well, you're done. You just need to replace the battery. You're done. Just open these 2 screws to replace the battery. But if your touchscreen is defective, well, you have a lot more steps, further steps to take on the screen. First, I'm going to replace the battery. Then I'm going to do the further steps on the touchscreen. This right here is the antenna, or GPS flip-up antenna, this guy. Remember when we said there's a delicate cable not to break? Because that cable is attached here. This also opens this way. So it's locking like this. You have to open it this way. Okay, this is the normal position, locking position. You have to bend it this way. But you have to do it gently, not to break it. Let me zoom in again. There you go. As you can see, I opened it and I'm going to disengage it right there. So now this has been disengaged. Now we have to open two screws. These two screws need to be opened. However, these screws are Phillips. They're not our old original star-shaped. These are both Phillips screwdrivers, and you need a Phillips size PH1 is what you need. PH1. Okay, so we took out these two screws, and now this should pop up easily. There is a little opening here, which is very convenient, and that's where we pull it up gently, because remember there's still a cable attached on the other side for the battery. So do it gently, very gently. Battery and speaker, as a matter of fact. There we go. This is our speaker cable, this is our battery cable. Battery cable opens this way, speaker cable opens this way. Both plugs are the same, so you might want to write battery. Actually, it's written battery there. It's written there, right there, battery. So you're not gonna mix them up. Okay. This part has no problems. So you simply put this aside, and this is your battery that you need to replace. To remove the battery, it's very simple. You just pull it up. It has a very weak. This particular model has a very weak gluing mechanism in the bottom. So some models are really hard to remove. You have to really pry it out, like really like pry it like this on some models. This one is very simple. You just push it up and the battery comes off. Why was it so simple? Because underneath there's this square shaped assembly, or I should square shaped layout, and only the top of the squares are touching the glue. These areas are too far to touch the glue. That's why it's so easy to pull out. Otherwise the glue is the same, very strong glue as all the other ones are. Okay, now we change the battery and we put the new battery. Okay, so this is the new battery. It's not an original Garmin battery, it's an aftermarket brand, but it serves the purpose. It comes with an adhesive in the back, 3M adhesive, which you peel off and you attach it in a way like that. And just to be on the safe side, I know this is not going anywhere, but just to be on the safe side, I always put another extra security. I put like a piece of tape for extra security. Just in case that comes loose, the battery doesn't fly around, you know. You don't necessarily have to do that. Okay, now it's time to put back our motherboard. The first goes the speaker. New batteries aren't charged, so you have to charge it for a full 8 hours before first use. These plugs are polarized, so they only go in one way. You have to make sure to put it the right way. You can't put it the wrong way. It doesn't go in. So that was the wrong way. I'm gonna twist to the 180 degrees and try it again. There. So the smooth side stays up. It stays on top like that. Both cables are in. Make sure the cables are not blocking these contacts, because these contacts are supposed to be attached to this part. So make sure cables are clear from that. And also make sure your antenna cable is up. Now that you placed it, make sure you first push in the earphone port and the USB port. Push those in place, and then snap the back part like this. This way you have a very nice USB and earphone port, nicely fitted USB port and all that. Now we have to put these two screws back. Once again, those two screws are not star shaped, they're Phillips screws. Now we put this cable back in. How do you put this cable back in? We make sure this is up in the open position. And then we use a long nose plier, a nice long nose plier, to put it back in. There, it's in. Now you have to push it in, like make sure it's in before you close it. Like that. So what I did is I pushed it in with this as I was closing this, so that the cable is not halfway in when you close it. The cable should be all the way inserted when you close this. Same goes with these. Now, the battery replacement is completed, but we can't put the screen yet because if your screen is good, so you're done. You can just plug these in and plug these 3 cables in, and you're good to go. Put it back together. But since I have to replace the touch screen, my work is still, half of my work is still remaining to be completed. What I'm going to do right now is detaching the frame from the screen. The frame detachment is pretty easy. You hold the frame from the bottom like this, pull up, push this up, and pull the screen out. Watch. Like that. So now I release these 2 hooks. I have 2 more hooks to release. This and that. These 2 hooks remain to be released. I released this one and this one by pushing this up and pushing this screen in like this. Let me redo this. Watch. We have 1, 2, 3 hooks. All 3 hooks could be released at once by pushing this up and then pulling out the screen this way. Okay. Now this is the one. You have to push it with this and pull it out. Same with this. Push it with something and pull the screen. Now the screen is fully this is detached from the frame. This is the screen frame, this is the screen. It has been fully detached. But now we have to disassemble it. To disassemble the screen, in order to remove the touch screen and replace it with a new one, we have to remove these sponge-shaped cushion around it. So you could pull it off easily, gently, and reuse it, but I'm not going to reuse it. I'm just going to put tape. You could use like electrical tape there instead, or I'll teach you how to put the electrical tape, because you don't want to overdo the tape either. So this is trash. Now we have to separate the front glass from the screen. To do that, we need to use a knife, insert between the frame and the screen very, very gently, so you don't break the screen. Very gently. This is probably the most critical part. I think we got it. Like this. This is what breaks. So be very careful. This is like a sheet of ice. That's how fragile it is. Set this separately your businesses with this piece, because you have to now separate the front glass from the frame. This is the frame, the metallic frame. For that you need heat gun. That's right, you need heat gun, believe it or not. Let's get our heat gun. Be very careful. This is very dangerous. This is like playing with fire, okay? So this is not a hair dryer. Extremely dangerous heat gun. And I'm afraid that the heat going up will melt my camera. So I'm trying to find a spot to put this without it pointing to my camera. Okay, so I guess it's good enough. Now I'm heating up this part. Let me put it a little closer. Heating up this part. Don't heat one corner too much, because if you do that, it will generate difference of heat and it will crack. There. That's all. That's our purpose is to create, to allow the knife to be inserted between the screen and the screen frame. So, did you see that? Did you see how it cracked? That's what I'm talking about. You have to be very, very careful. Okay, so the screen cracked, but that's the bad screen anyways. We don't have to worry. This is trash. Now the glass and the old battery and the broken glass should not be thrown in the garbage. It should be disposed of according to the recycling laws of the country you are in. Each country has its own recycling law. Lithium-ion batteries or lithium polymer batteries or any rechargeable battery for that matter are not allowed to be thrown inside dumpsters. So, in order to eliminate this from further shattering in pieces, I'm going to put a tape here. Just a tape for the sake of keeping it together. This is trash, I don't need it, but just so it doesn't fall apart further, because it's going to recycling, glass recycling. Alright, now we have to remove these pieces. We have to remove all of these bits and pieces. Make sure we have all the previous tape removed, because the new screen, touch screen, has its own residue, has its own little sticky surface, and we don't need these. Okay, so we peeled off everything all around it. Now we get the replacement screen or touch screen. This is my replacement touch screen. Let me zoom in. That's not the part number, that's the tracking number. Every item I buy, I write the tracking number on it so I know which item I received, which I didn't. Okay. This is in great shape. Now remember I said the new screen has its own gluey section that you can use. Well, the gluey section is covered with a plastic which I need to peel. Watch. There. Now we put this on top of this. We have to make sure it's centered Okay, it's pretty centered, as you can see. I mean, this is as center as it can get. Now, remember the black spongy tape that was around it? Since that is not available, we are using electrical tape. Electrical tape. Okay? Before we put the electrical tape, we have to reassemble this, because the tape will go in between that and this screen. Make sure there are no dust particles on this, because once the dust particle is trapped inside, there is no way you can clean it. It seems to be nice and clean, so we are good to go. You snap it back in. Snapping everything back in. And now we will put our electrical tape. Measure it so it's about right. It doesn't have to be perfect, reaching the corners. As long as it covers majority of each edge, it should be good. You cannot put the tape past the gray section, because if you put the tape like past the gray section, not only that you will cover the visible screen, you will also press the touch screen with the tape, and you will throw the screen off calibration every time if you do that. Basically, the screen will be pressed by the tape around the edges, causing it to activate a function on that section. The tape can easily be wrapped around it in the back. No worries. You don't have to. You don't have to cut thin strips. Now we need another piece of tape on one edge. Same thing. Make sure it doesn't pass the gray section. Passing the gray section is a no-no. Make sure you don't tape the cables in the back. We need another piece for the right side. We want to cut the excessive edges. You don't want excessive edges. It will make it hard to put it in the case. No excessive edges. Okay. See, this is coming out. The tape quality is not very good. It's opening up by itself. Now we need one piece for here. Do not pass the gray section, as I said. You want to make sure that you're not passing the gray section. I went too close to the gray section. I don't like it. I need to be further away. There, that's much better. This part, which is excessive, you can cut. And then you could bend it on the back. Okay, everything looks good. Now we will put it back in the frame. When you're putting it back in the frame, this is the bottom of the screen. So look at the Garmin logo. This goes like this. Like this. It goes in like this. This is the bottom matching the Garmin logo. The bottom goes in first. The top simply slides in. To slide it in, you push these out so you don't damage your tape. And voila. Everything is snapped in place. This is snapped in place, this is snapped in place, and the screen is nice. Now we have to reattach it to this. This part is critical. Pay attention, please. First, you put the touch screen. Make sure the touch screen is in all the way. Open it. Make sure this is open. Make sure the cable is in all the way. The touchscreen cable is in all the way, and then you close it like that. The same goes with a video screen. Video cable. That one was a touchscreen cable. This is the video cable. The video cable, make sure it's all the way in. I'm applying pressure, and then I close it. Last but not least, the backlight cable. The backlight LED, that is. And close it. All are in place. Now, if this was the Garmin Nuvi 660, which it's not, but if it was 660, there would be an additional cable here for the microphone here. This is where the microphone would go. See that round thing? Let me show you in the camera. See that round hole? That's where the microphone would have gone if this was a Garmin Nuvi 660, 670, or 680. Since it is not, there is no microphone in a 650. Now we close it. I don't think, see, this part didn't close very well. And you know why? Because the cable is there. So we have to see. We have to see why the cable is there and take it back apart and deal with that. Now I'm gonna see which cable was preventing it, and voila, I see the cable. I see the culprit. See that cable? The black cable right here? Let me show you the cable. That cable shouldn't be there. This cable. See that cable? That shouldn't be there. That's why it wasn't going. So I have to seat this properly. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen these screws. I'm glad that cable came in there, because this is something that if you would have encountered, you would be wondering why doesn't the screen snap in. You would be wondering why is it that why the screen is not snapping in properly, and that's the reason why it wasn't snapping in, because we had a cable on the other side, and that's the battery cable, I believe, yeah, which we are responsible for because we replaced the battery. Okay, so I took the cable out of the way, and I'm going to put these screws back in. And now it should be seated very nicely without a problem. And it does. It gets seated very nicely without a problem. Now, although brand new batteries don't have any charge, but let me turn it on, maybe there is some charge. Yeah, there is a little bit of charge, so just making sure the battery works. I mean the touchscreen works before I put all the screws back in. And yes, it does work. And everything looks good. I'm gonna turn it off. Press and hold, turn it off, and put the screws back. Now, to put back the screws, remove the tape. Pull this open, 180 degrees, flip. Flip it this way. Like that. Make sure the cable is not damaged. cable is in that position. Put the 2 screws back in. Even when you close these screws back in, you can strip them. This is very difficult screw to go. It requires substantial amount of pressure. Okay, both screws are in all the way. And now we will put the spring and the little plastic piece. Remove the tape. You're done with the tape. Put this inside this, like that. Put this side in first, which has the cable, and then put this side in second by pushing this in and snapping this down. Let's see. Like that. See how it is? It's not done yet. I'm just showing you halfway in so you know what the method. Now I'm gonna push it in and it will pop in. There you go. It popped in place and we're good to go. Replacing the screen and the battery in a Garmin Nuvi 650, 660, 670 and 680 GPS navigation system. Once again, after all the tying it up and everything, and making sure everything works. Of course the battery doesn't have a charge, it's 0 almost, but it gives you an idea that everything works and the operation was successful. Alright, I appreciate you watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day.